Hi, and welcome back to this week's Cardinals Beat. In 2011, Plainville High played their last baseball season, closing the books on a franchise spanning over 60 years, until now, where it is back in full swing. Spearheaded by coaches Ryan Becker and Wade Ditter, the 14-man team is ready to get back into the leagues and play the game that is loved by many. Plainville has a deep history with baseball, with teams dating back to the early to mid-1920s, but Plainville High School only joined the leagues in the early 60s. There is not much known about baseball between 1960 and now, but there has been various awards from regional championships in the early 2000s to Zone 6 and American Legion trophies. We had a golden opportunity to interview former athletic director, coach, and teacher Lauren Hemphill. What is your history with baseball, whether coaching or playing?
As far as baseball playing time is mostly in a city league in Pratt, Kansas, where I grew up in Pratt County. Played there for several years in what they called a little league down there. I think played till I was about 14 years old, I suppose. Okay, I took over Plainville Recreation here in 1963. The fella ahead of me was also the football coach here at the time. His name was Al Hargrave. And when I took this program over, it was in great shape because Hargrave ran a really, really good program. I learned a lot from him and was able to carry on pretty much the same for the next 10 years, I guess.
What years did you coach baseball?
I took over in 63 and went to probably 73, about 10 years here. And what that amounted to, they had a Little League program here. There was 7 teams. 5 of them was from Plainville, and 1 was from Zurich, and 1 from Natoma. And my job was to coach these kids during the week, and when it come game time, their dads took over and coached the teams, and then I became the umpire. So I got pretty well involved with all of the baseball in Plainville, and it's pretty big at the time, and that really had some good players.
What championships or I guess overall awards did the teams you coached get?
If you're referring to the K-18 state team, yeah, in 1971, those kids beat Dorrance 4-2 in the finals over at Lucas and won that state championship. And as far as I know, that's the only K-18 state championship that Plainville won. Now, it's been a long time ago, so possibly I'm mistaken there, but I don't recall any others winning the state. Seemed to me like they had a girls' team do pretty good here in the state at one time, but yeah.
Now, switching it up to, I guess, just baseball in general, what changes have you seen in baseball over the years, whether that being equipment, pitching, and or batting?
Well, I think equipment is a pretty obvious thing. In recent years, they've required players to wear a helmet when they bat, and that didn't exist years ago. That was the main thing. And as far as pitching is concerned, it seems to me like the pitchers have a more varied pitching array than they did, say, 20 years ago. They have a lot of different kinds of pitches they can throw.
Is there any particular moment in Plainville baseball history that you remember in your time of coaching or playing?
Well, of course, the one I remember is that state championship in 1971. Of course, there's been a lot of great moments with ball around here. The kids around here pretty well acclimated to it. They could play baseball.
Yeah. Do you remember any players on that 1971 state champions team that went to a higher league of baseball?
Yeah. Sam Cooper, the pitcher, pitched, I think, 1 year at Colby, and then he pitched at Fort Hays State.
Huh.
Yeah, Sam was an unusual talent as far as pitcher is concerned. As I recall, he, in the 3-game series of that state tournament, he struck out 41 kids.
Wow.
So he's pretty hard to deal with as far as a hitter was concerned. Frank Dreyer played on that team, and that team was consisted mainly of 14, 15-year-old kids. Well, he was in the 6th grade when he played. He was that good. He received a scholarship at Wichita State, but something happened, didn't work out for him to go down there and do that.
What kind of life lessons does baseball teach you?
Well, that teaches kids dedication. It teaches them mainly to work together. And I'll tell you one thing, maybe I'm ahead of time here, but one thing that that state championship team had over kids nowadays, the basketball coach wants them playing basketball all summer, the football coach wants them doing something, and right on down the line, I don't think they even have a K-18 team here anymore.
Yeah, we
Probably.
used
Do they have?
to. Their last season, I think, was right after COVID. I don't know though.
Oh,
That's
I
when
see.
I played.
Yeah, it could have been. Anyway, baseball was what they had, and I don't want to say it's all they had, but their attention was baseball.
Now, as our last and final question here, we like to throw an oddball one out to anyone we interview. Would your 1971 state champions team be able to compete in today's league?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. That was a group of kids with great parents that backed them and me throughout the time that I coached here. And they'd be pretty hard to beat. Mm-hmm. It really would. I mentioned some other players on there. Of course, I don't want to get myself in trouble here because there's a lot of good players. But I remember 2 Ross boys, Kevin and Robbie, were very instrumental to that. And the Dreyers, of course, Frank and Rick was second baseman. There's a Von Felt kid on first base. And a kid from Oklahoma who came up here to visit relatives. His name was Shoulders. He played third base from there. And then of course, we had Jaco and little 6th grader Frank on the outfield. And a big old kid by the name of Kenny Gaines. He's probably as big as you were. He showed up here. He was from Oklahoma. And he showed up here wanting to play on the K-18 team. And I I looked at him, being your size. I said, no, I think you want a little older group. And he said, no, sir. He said, I want to play with your team. I said, well, how old are you? He said, it's 14. So that's what he was. Something unique about him. He was a great hitter. A left-handed hitter. Because of his size, teams that didn't know him would shift way around, planning on him pulling that ball direct. He knew how to hit it to left field. Eventually, teams caught on to him, and they wouldn't play him to pull it.
Well, we thank you for your time, Lauren.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
At the time of this recording, Plainville still has a few games left in the season. That is all for this week's Cardinals Beat. Make sure to tune in next week to see what exciting news comes to our doorstep.